It's not always about stretching tight hips. In fact, if you do all the lunges in the world and you still feel like your hips are tight, then you got to do some more mobility work. And that's what we're going to do in this practice today. And so all you need to do is have a block, a floor, press that subscribe button, follow Heart and Bones Yoga, go to heartandbonesyoga.com to try our online yoga studio, get your free trial. It's great, you'll love it. But in the meantime, let's give some love to our hips. Take your yoga block and you're going to place it between your calves. Version 1, we want to try to have the legs up, not touching the wall. If you have the strength to do that in your legs, great. And if your legs are going, nope, I can't do that, then simply have them on the heels on the wall. You don't have to have your entire leg on the wall, just the heels. Once we have that block there, you're going to squeeze the block gently between the calves while rotating your legs externally and then forward. Externally rotate, that means your thighs rotate away from each other and then back to center. Rotate externally. And now the tricky part is trying to keep the block between your feet or between the calves. So this is going to be a lot of work. If you're doing it at the wall, that might be a little bit easier and nicer when you're first learning the movement. We are driving the movement deep from the hip joints. Okay, now that we've done that a few times, you're going to bring the block between your knees. And again, you can have your heels at the wall or you can have your legs in the air. And we're going to try to rotate again the legs internally and externally rotate, just like we did with the calves. But you're going to notice it probably feels a little bit different because every place we put the block on the legs is going to really show up a different place where we need to improve our mobility. So doing that a few more times, thinking about the rotation deep within your hip joints, and then release, take the block. Our last variation of this is going to be the block between your thighs, just above the knee. Gently squeezing. Again, you can have your heels at the wall or not, and then you're going to rotate, gently squeeze the block. The aim is to keep the block between the legs, and you'll notice this might feel easier for you. This one might feel harder for you. We all have different mobilities at different spots in the legs. Some of us might have found the calf version more challenging, but holy moly, is this really, really, really good to improve the mobility deep within your hip joints. So that's so happy for the psoas. It strengthens all the tissues and the muscles around the joints. Okay, so we've done that version. So take a moment, you can let your legs rest against the wall, give them a little shake, notice how that feels. And then we are going to, and I'm going to show it to the side, but you can scoot away from the wall or you can go sideways on your yoga mat like I'm doing here. And you're going to take that block between the knees and we're going to do a similar movement, but it's just going to be similar but different. So the block's between the knees. I'm going to scoot away from the wall enough so that you can still see me, but my feet are not touching the wall. You don't want your feet touching the wall for this one. So the knees are over your pelvis in a vertical position. Gently squeeze that block between the knees and then internally rotate, which means your feet move away from each other and your your thighs move toward each other and then back to center. So you're squeezing that block, move your feet away from each other and then back to center. This is really good. This is a movement that many of us obviously don't do. There's not a lot of activities we have in our daily life that require us to do this active internal rotation. Okay, do that a few more times. Gently squeeze that block while you move the feet apart, which internally rotates your thigh bones. Good, now next time we're gonna do one more and we're gonna hold it, gently squeeze, stay in that internal rotation. This is strengthening your hip joints. It may not feel like it's a ton of fun, but inside of your hip joints, they're having a dance party. They're very happy with this, even though your mind goes, oh, this does not feel good. Okay, beautiful work, release out of that. Take a moment, your feet can go onto the floor or they can rest against the wall. But take a big deep breath. You can do a little wiggle, rotation, just release that very strong work Very good work. Okay, now we've got another thing to do here at the wall. I'm going to scoot back closer to the wall here. So right now it will be just the heels at the wall, and the rest of the legs will be at an angle away from the wall, and that's just fine. We're going to do that rotation again one more time, but without the block. We're going to go nice and slow, and we're going to notice how that feels. You're gently pressing the heels into the wall. Lovely. Okay, and then to finish this practice, we're gonna have the knees bent, feet flat onto the wall, and then take one leg, I'm gonna use my right leg, and we're gonna do some just nice little circles around like this. Your knee is gonna stay bent, and it feels like you have a little paintbrush connected to your knee, and that you're circling around and you're trying to draw a nice little figure 8 or nice swoopy lines with that paintbrush as you move around in your hip joint. While you move this leg, try to keep the foot that's at the wall still stable, so you're not just flopping around on the pelvis and everything's moving like that. Yes, this leg is moving, but you're still going to maintain some control while pressing and by pressing that foot gently at the wall. Playing with a sense of stability and mobility. Moving this hip joint, a ball and socket joint, which means it can move in all sorts of directions. And when we can do that, the happier your psoas and the happier your hips will be. Okay, lovely. Switch sides. So gently anchor your other foot onto the wall, leg stable. And then that other leg, imagining again that you've got that paintbrush and you're painting nice, beautiful swoops and swirls in the air with that paintbrush, which translates into your hip joint as getting and taking advantage of that beautiful range of motion that the hip joints the hip joints have, that they're designed with, right? Your beautiful wisdom of the body. So again, you're circling around with a little bit of control and ease while your other leg stays stable. Take a few deep breaths. Good. Releasing. And then we are going to do one last thing. We're going to revisit this little block twist and notice if it gets a little easier. So you're going to take the block between your calves, gently squeeze, and notice, oh, it feels like I can externally rotate a little bit more smoothly. We don't expect miracles here, right? It still might be challenging, but maybe it's slightly less challenging. And that is the point. That's the magic of movement and the magic of mobility work like this. Okay, beautiful. Give a little break, a little wiggle. Try it between the knees, see how that feels. Remember, you can do this with the legs in the air or with the legs at the wall. Maybe if you had the legs at the wall, try it with it in the air this time and see if it's actually maybe possible. Okay, release out of that. And then the last one, we will do those thighs. Let's see if they changed at all. Did it get a little bit easier? Rotating in and out. And you also want to try to keep your legs vertical too, as if you still have a block between your calves. Easier said than done, of course. Nice work. All right. That is our short and sweet hip practice, my friends. Now, when you stand up, I really encourage you to notice how your hips feel when you walk. This is the kind of work that we want to do to make sure that our psoas muscles or hip joints stay really supple, resilient, and healthy for as long as we can. Doing this type of work, this mobility work for your hips, goes such a long way. So let me know if that made a difference in the comments. I'm really curious to know actually Did you notice a difference in those rotations from the beginning to the end of this practice? And if you did or not, put it in the comments and share it with us. So as always, thank you for being here. Subscribe, go binge on all the other videos we've got here, and have a lovely hip happy day.